You're watching Den Pubs TV.
This monthly meeting to order, if you could please rise and join me in a salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. First order of business on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of March. Moved by Mr. Hutchins, second by Mr. Finnemore. Discussion on the minutes. Being none, all those in favor? Opposed? The minutes have been accepted. Next on the agenda, we have an opportunity for a public comment period. Are there any members of the public wishing to address the body this evening? Mr. Malcolm Martin.
Yeah, I have some comments, but I think I'll reserve them and I'll put them in the local paper, such as your brother-in-law does. So,
That's why we have media. That's right.
good.
Thank you. And Mr. Reiner's here also representing the Plattsburgh Press Republican, besides the Valley News. Okay, are there any other members of the public wishing to address the body? Being none, not on the agenda tonight, but as a guest this evening, we have Mr. Rod Bola from the Elizabethtown Community Hospital. And we welcome him here this evening for an annual update on how our facility is doing. Right up here. Thank you very much for being here.
Quite a few have heard this already. And hear it again. Ron, this second time, Maggie, 3 times. Thank you very much. Give you an update on the hospital and what we accomplished last year, 2010, and what we're doing this year. Last year was very busy for us at the hospital, and we started the year with recruiting another physician. We had Dr. Caputo, who came to us, and we also recruited Dr. DeMarco. So that was good for us. Dr. Caputo is over in the Westport Health Center. Dr. DeMarco's here at this health center here in E-Town. This year we've been able to recruit Dr. Anita Vigorito, and she's a board certified family practice, and she's working out of the Smith House in Willsboro. She also is doing on-call for the emergency room and doing inpatients here at the hospital as well. So we've done pretty well on the recruitment side of physicians. Last year we had our first full year of chemotherapy under our belt. That went pretty well for us. The numbers were pretty much in line with what we expected. There's little fluctuations here and there. The one thing that we don't have in our chemo program, we don't have chemo patients that are seeing an oncologist across the pond over in Burlington. And we have not yet been able to finalize those relationships, and we are working on those. So pretty much right now what you're seeing with the chemotherapy being here at our facility are patients in the area that go to Plattsburgh. We do have a couple patients that are coming to us from the Glens Falls area. So that's starting to grow as well. But as we move forward with relationships with Burlington, it's going to grow, and we're looking forward to that. The problem we have with that area is that the oncologists have to have licensure in New York State, and it's a malpractice issue as well. So we're working on that. This year, February, we started with a cardiac rehab program, and that's going pretty well for us. We're using telemedicine for that, as we are with the chemotherapy program, and that's working well for us. Last year, we also started the electronic medical record for the health centers. We have a health center in Wilmington, here in E-Town, and also in Westport. Dr. DeMiro, very instrumental in working with our IT department and getting the electronic medical record up and running through the health centers. We have to have that in order to participate in the Adirondack Mental Home Pilot Project. So that's working out pretty well for us. We're way ahead of the game with respect to electronic medical record. By 2015, all hospitals in the country have to be electronic medical record. The numbers that we're seeing from the American Hospital Association are predicting that approximately 35% of the hospitals, 40%, are not going to be making those deadlines. Even more so on the critical access hospital side, because we're very small. There's 1,300 critical access hospitals across the country. And they're saying that 65 to 70% are not going to meet the deadline in 2015. When that happens, they will not get funding. It'll be a decrease of their funding over a period of time. And I think there's 5 years before they lose all of their federal and state funding. We're way ahead of that. We're going to be finished with our electronic medical record, not only in the health centers, but also in the hospital. There are some add-ons that we'll be putting into the program as well as we move forward. But there is what's called a meaningful use. And these are standards that are established by the federal government for us to meet in order to qualify for reimbursements. We will meet meaningful use guidelines, and we're hoping to be the max at a level 6 by November of this year. That will put us in pretty much the top 10% of all hospitals in the country at where we are with IT. So we're doing pretty well in our facility. Another thing that we were able to do is we had our Joint Commission survey. Joint Commission is a set of standards that Medicare contracts with the Joint Commission to come in and assess our standards, our quality standards. We're happy to say that we met all but 4 of the standards. There were 6, but we were able to justify that we met 2, so it was down to 4. So we did pretty well there, and the surveyors were pretty impressed with our facility and said we're one of the top critical access hospital facilities that they've surveyed over the years. There's, as I mentioned, there's 1,300 critical access hospitals. There's only 250 in the country that are Joint Commission accredited, and we're one of those. So we've done pretty well.
That's very.
And with the leadership from Dr. DeMiro, that's really worked well for us. And we're also qualifying ourselves for additional grant funding by meeting all of these standards and the meaningful use and IT, which is helpful. What did I miss?
Never a dull moment over there.
The ambulance, yes, we received word from CBPH that the volumes have shifted primarily because of us having CT services here at our hospital now. There's been a less need of transports on that side, so we're looking at doing the transport program ourselves rather than through a contract with CDPH. We have been also working and talking with Lamoille, who had done this via contract with our hospital in the past. They've assessed it, and we've been working with them, and it looks like we're going to probably continue with the pursuit of doing it ourselves. So we'll do that transport program internally.
What's CT, Ron?
CAT scan,
Oh, sorry. Close enough.
computed tomography. We also have, last year is the first year that we had mobile MRI. We have that here every Thursday from Unfortunately, in February, we had 2 cancellations because of weather on Thursday, so we had to back those up. But, that is going well. We're seeing on average 10 patients
The MRI.
for the MRI. We'd like to see a little bit more. When we start seeing averages in the 14 or 15 range, then we start looking at having them there another day.
Well, if Dr. DeMiro keeps his running habits, I read his time. His knees will need examination maybe on that.
You know, we've been thinking about that knee replacement program.
Keep it going.
As the gas prices continue to go up, the services that you have over here, that our local hospital has, will be more and more used and needed, because they'll be looking to keep the trips to Plattsburgh down, I would think.
Yeah, I think, you know, you're right, as far as services for primary care, obviously, we want to keep that as local as possible.
But the extra services that you get,
Extra
like
services.
in the MRI, those are all, of course, you've had the other one in concert with Plattsburgh there for a number of years, the dialysis, which
Yes.
is also not only a mileage saver, but a time saver for a lot of people that use that.
Yeah, those numbers are really starting to grow. The dialysis, you know.
No, we feel very, very, very fortunate to have you as your neighbor. Some of the developments that have taken place just in my short time here has just been amazing. Astounding how you've developed over there. You know, the whole staff. It's just,
Well, we're doing pretty well. We've got a great staff, and they work hard, they're dedicated. Quality is where it's at. We don't have quality, and people don't use our services.
Right.
So we've got to make sure that we're providing good quality care to keep people using our services. We've developed that trust over the last number of years, and we want to keep that.
doing a good job so far.
Any questions, Maggie?
3 years ago, I had my knee replaced, and I had to go elsewhere, and I came back here, and my doctor prescribed aquatherapy or water therapy for my knee, and I said I'd have to wait till the ice melted on Lincoln Pond. So I know I'm looking around and I'm going, let's see, new knee over here, me, a few other people. We really could use an aquatherapy pool next. So put it on the wish list.
It's one of those that, you know, when you do the feasibility, or, you know, you do a business plan on that piece, you're in a position where you don't really have the utilization to really keep it. I did one in Malone, which is much bigger than Elizabethtown, and the feasibility was really at a break even. They have since gone on to put it in anyway, but you really got to have it. You got to have the numbers to justify that existence.
Any other questions or comments from the public for Mr. Bola?
Did I miss anything, Rob?
Not a thing, Bob, you did beautiful. I commend you.
He didn't even throw after that.
Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate
He's
you
mellowing.
taking the time to join us and, you know, bringing us up
Well, thank you.
to date on the developments over there. It's always a pleasure.
If you have any questions, let me know. More than happy to come back.
We'll hold you to that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
See you on the golf course.
Okay, next we shall move to communications. I'd ask for a motion to file all communications.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second, and discussion on communications. Being none, all those in favor? Opposed? The communications have been filed. Moving to old business. First, old business. I would ask for a motion to adopt the local dog licensing law.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Hutchins, second by Mr. Fenimore. Under discussion, do you want us to implement that change?
Yes, I
problem.
would
Okay.
offer a resolution to make that amendment to, under section 5, restrictions, to eliminate the section of number A, eliminate, permit, or allow such dog to, 9W already has that now.
Yeah.
And also the date you'll have to change in the back, it's April 1st, I think.
You know, that's just, if you look in the minutes, it's the May 1st. That was just the first copy that I got. It is May 1st.
Okay.
I changed it before. That's why I had it circled.
And if you want to add that of,
Mhm.
So you would offer those changes as an amendment? And would you second that amendment?
Just incorporate them into the resolution. We haven't passed it yet. I don't know if we can amend it without passing it. Doesn't matter.
It was on the table.
It's
You should
just
have
the
phone
changes.
call.
We can pass it with the amendment
As amended.
as amended.
Yeah. Further discussion? Any other changes or additions? I would say on the amendment, all those in favor of the amendment?
Got it.
Aye, opposed? Then, on the dog licensing resolution as amended, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Fenimore.
why, yes.
Okay. Mr. Hutchins.
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor.
Yes. The dog licensing local law of 2011 that has been adopted. Thank you very much. So, next item I have on the agenda is the footbridge. I would first ask for authorization to expend up to $35,000 for a new footbridge. The structure itself, this is for the superstructure of the footbridge, up to $35,000.
And are you gonna share the, where the money's coming from after we authorize it, or are you gonna talk about it now?
Once we put that on the table. I'll fill you in.
It won't pass if you don't tell us. I'll offer the motion.
That's the spirit. Second.
No, talk to us.
Okay, under discussion, as you are all aware, and I have Ms. Jessica Bueller with us here this evening, who has been very instrumental in securing these grants that are enabling us to implement these improvements. Part of the program will be the town's participation in expenditure for the footbridge, the stairs, the superstructure, the footings, pavers, things like that. Our cost for the bridge structure will be reimbursed by New York State Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation as part of that grant. The grant, the total grant is what, about 260, something like that, with a 25% match.
The Office of Parks and Rec grant, the total request from New York State was $60,900. And then we also had a New York State Department of Health grant that was a part of which was the footbridge that we had put in $30,000. And that grant was about, well, we had requested 235, and we didn't receive total funding because they had shortened the time frame, but that grant was awarded. So, but the part that we're looking for right now is the superstructure, the steel structure, and that would be reimbursed by the New York State Department of Parks and Rec and Historic Preservation. And then we are able to supply the 25% match through the Department of Health grant. Even though it's a state-to-state funding, they were amenable to that match.
Yes, we've had meetings with the commissioner down there. So the town of Elizabethtown's position here as far as the reimbursement, there is security in that they are reimbursing us 100% of the expenditure for the superstructure. Also, as you saw in some of the vouchers tonight, that would include the reimbursement for the abstracts that had to be produced for the legal counsel to give the representation that we actually own the property that we're improving and all that. So all of those costs are reimbursable at 100%.
It's all reimbursable this year?
Probably
You
not.
know?
It's my guess, just from my experience, not to overshoot her. They're generally quite slow in the reimbursement process until the total project's complete. That's when we
Yeah.
can see.
We're allowed to request reimbursement for funds that were incurred anytime after November 12th of 2010. And so any of those costs that have been incurred since that time will be reimbursed by the Office of Parks and Rec and Historic Preservation. That they are hesitant to give us a time frame on when those vouchers will be reimbursed because of, the state of, the state of the state. Exactly. So it's a little hard to say. I wouldn't want to say either, but,
Yep,
But
no,
they- but
just
they will be
along those
reimbursed.
lines, just from my experience, the DOS has and has to designate money to cover these before they can authorize those contracts. So it is not like, well, I hope this project gets funded.
right,
The money is there. It's a matter of requisitioning that properly
Yeah.
in the timeline according to them, but there is no possibility that that money can be pulled out of Department of State, because it has been, when we sign those contracts, it designates that money for this project.
right.
It's important.
It's already in the works. It's already flowing. It's just that, it's a matter of when it will get back. I understand your concern.
Well, it's just a question. Do we have, the question being, do we have adequate cash flow to be able to cover these, what I assume are immediate expenses?
Yes.
With respect to the expenditure to get the infrastructure in place down there. So we would have to pay for the construction costs and materials to get all this built. And then are we, in your opinion, well fixed as far as having that cash flow? We'll wait for that reimbursement to go?
Yes. Yeah,
Would
just
it
out of our
require
general fund.
And a bond anticipation note or something like that, or?
At this point in time, no, I think we believe we can take that out of our, I will use the term properly, the reserves that can come out of our general fund right now for that designating, not specifically from Parks and Rec, but they'll come from the general fund. And then we'll track that on an accounting basis, so the reimbursement.
Do we have any reserve funds that would be applicable for the footbridge? A true reserve fund?
Probably, yeah, but it would only be $5,000 or $6,000 that we have. Right now, we have a total of 10 for parks, but some of those are designated more specifically to the Noble Terrace. There's probably 5 that are just in reserve.
What comes next then, after the infrastructure, the footings, or how did you describe it, the footings, the steel beams,
The infrastructure itself, the bridge.
what happens?
What will happen in the timeline, because I was going to make that announcement, that we believe we'll be closing the footbridge in May. I believe that's what we're looking at. It'll be, give or take 30 days. During that time, the old bridge will be pulled out. They just have to put a little cap on top of the
Pylons or?
yes, the
abutments?
support abutments, that's what it is. When you do some testings on that, the new bridge structure will be aligned back on top of that. New stairs will be put in. There'll be a regrading up on top on the hospital side, and paving stones implemented, but then the tie-in for the stairs, the bridge, and then the landing area down by the footbridge. That should all be completed maximum probably about 3 weeks.
And a new rail. We put it in for, a new rail, so where the sidewalk structure ends on Park Street, it would incorporate a new rail to go, a new sidewalk rail to go where the old one is right now. pavers and everything would connect so that it would be all a whole matching project.
That rail skateboardable?
We think it will be.
I couldn't say.
And I believe the wood,
Yeah.
it's synthetic
Yeah. It's
wood that we had
recycled,
purchased locally
it's-
from a
Yeah.
supplier. We went out to bid, and one of the suppliers from Mariah, fortunately,
Mhm.
was able to win that bid. The steel is coming from Murray, I believe.
The steel is
In
Duquette's
Plattsburgh.
lumber, and I do want a
Duquette?
point of clarification. I think, I don't have the contract with me. I think it's 42 or 46 for the steel. I don't have that with me. Because last I checked, that was in Mr. Manning's office. But I checked in with him, I spoke with him last Thursday. And I thought it was either 42 or 46,000 that bid came in. We bid the whole project together through the county is what happened. And then the Department of Health grant, which was my grant, I ended up paying for the lumber and the pavers. And that came in for about 29,000 and a few hundred. And so then the steel superstructure and other pieces of the project are the Office of Parks and Rec pieces that they can pay for. There's like concrete work that'll have to be done to put those staircases in and things like that. So all of that can be covered under this Office of Parks and Rec grant.
What's the total cost, Jessica, did you say?
The total cost for the Office of Parks and Rec grant that we requested was $60,900. The super steel structure, I think, is either 42 or 46,000 was the bid. I can't be certain.
So around 100,000 for an entire completed bridge? Or is there more?
No, I think it's about 60. Maybe a little bit more. DPW is doing all the
DPW
work.
is doing all the labor,
And so that's what we're, that still has to be billed back.
and I think the labor, well, they have quite a bit in labor. It's an extensive, it's quite a project. I don't have I know I put in 7,500 for a cost estimate on my grant for the estimate for labor from DPW, and that was underestimated when we went back to work with them more thoroughly on this project. The person that I worked with again for this other grant was thinking, no, it was gonna be more extensive, like Mr. Mayor, he had said more like 30 days of labor and machinery and different things like that. All of that is reimbursable through this grant.
Is there any likelihood that we would have to front any more than the 35,000 and await reimbursement? Any other costs that you're aware of that we would have to come up with the money locally?
I think you would have to, I think it would be our biggest concern right now is the cost of the steel structure, which is 42 or 46. The other piece is, I think the Department of Public Works for the county has been most excellent in working with us and would be willing to be reimbursed.
So our cost may go as high as 46,000.
Right.
See, when Gary and
For
I,
the super
you
steel.
met, which was just last week,
Right.
the number he had given me was 35.
Do you have that budget sheet that he gave you handy?
No, not handy.
Uh,
I don't. But I mean, it's something that we can come back on. But at that time, that's what he said was the
Yeah.
necessity is that we, as a town, were able to then hold the steel people harmless. Then everything else can take care of itself, knowing it's still reimbursable to the town. Even if it was 45, that's 100% reimbursable. The rest of the grant, it's part of this Healthy Communities where the town would participate in trying to earn their 25% in-kind match. That would be done with the development of the proposed park area upstream from the footbridge presently. And similarly to what we did with the cribbing last year, all that in kind, is from our people and from the shop prisoners and the EDC people. So we are strategizing that that's how the town then will be able to fulfill their 25% match of this portion of it by utilizing that in the other development part of it.
And you're comfortable with 35,000 or 45,000 in the event that a further resolution has to take place with respect to our cash flow? You're still good with that?
I am. If we have to come back for 10, we can do that. But I was just, from my notes, that's what Gary had given me, and I thought the bids had come in at that time.
No, I know because this one isn't, that one isn't my grant. I have a sticky note here that says 46,000 for the steel, but I don't have, the contract, so. And
Well, I'm comfortable. I know that what we were talking about is in the requirements of payment. Most of those bids come in on a net 30. The delivery hasn't been here, and that's what we were sort of talking about. Is then when is the payment due? It's
Right.
very possible the payment will not be due until, what are we in? March. It's April.
It's April.
It'll be May or June, when the payment is due on a net 30. So this should be
So
coming
we won't meet again until May
19 or something like that.
17.
Yes.
So you really have to get at least this resolution passed tonight so we can move forward with this, right?
Yes. But we should probably, like I said, if I needed 46,
I
I
think,
needed to know that.
I mean, I think it would be safe to say up to 46, and then we can get the contract from Mr. Manning's office, which would have the final bid in it.
But we knew that the bid, I mean, we put it in perspective besides the steel, the bid for the artificial wood was almost $30,000, which really surprised me, just for the decking and the railings and things like that. But that's a lifetime guarantee.
Yeah, the lumber
If the kids
was-
don't take it off. But other than that, it won't wear out.
I don't think they'll be able to get it off. They're gonna have to work really hard to get this off.
We probably shouldn't be talking, number one, skateboarding and stealing our lumber. It's probably not a good thing to be talking about.
That's right, that does happen.
Well, there is some chop it out. We don't steal it.
Okay, then I'll have, we'll amend that, or we'll re-offer that to 46.
So you want-
But again, for information, the bridge, the footbridge will be closed for up to 30 days. 30 days before we'll have some grand reopening down there. Mr.
Will the
Tessa?
public be notified prior to this event?
You are
So
being
people have an
notified now. And, I have asked some of the media, we will do stories on that just prior to that being closed down. So I think there'll be an article in both papers, one way or the other, at least giving the people the timeline when it will be closed. So who offered the first resolution? You did, so you, the second is
I'm willing
comfortable, you
to,
would
I'm
remove
willing
that?
to amend that to the amount of money that's mentioned to cover the cost.
Okay, and seconder is good with that?
Mhm.
Further discussion then?
So that's up to 46,000.
Up to 46. Other questions?
Nope.
Roll call vote on
Mr. Fenimore?
Yes.
Mr. Hudkins?
Yes.
And Mr. Mary Hughes?
that. Yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jessica,
Thank you.
for your work.
We appreciate you.
It's an important part of
Surprise
the
you.
community. Footbridge is used heavily.
Other old business that's not on the agenda? Then we shall move to new business. I will ask for, in the beginning, prior to the appointment, it's on the new business, first under Mike Drew, Highway Superintendent, I'll ask for a brief executive session on that, but prior to doing that, we will go through the third and fourth first. So, I would ask for, down the number third, authorization, I would ask for authorization to advertise for the replacement of our code enforcement officer.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Okay, and as you're aware, our present code enforcement officer has secured full-time employment. So he had given us notice that he will be done at the end of this month. So we hope to have something in to get letters of interest. Yeah, we just learned last week. And so I'll meet with him tomorrow to see if he has, you know, any names that maybe we can send mailers to as far as letters of interest and things like that. So, any other discussion on that? All those in favor? Opposed? Yeah, I shall. And we'll try to put something in place as quick as we can. But Frank has kept a pretty accurate dossier on what's outstanding, what has been completed. We have had very recent communication with the owners of Hubbard Hall. Is that right, Hubbard Hall? Yep, Hubbard Hall. So those provisions are in place for action to start in May, even without a code enforcement. So we have all that paperwork filled out and ready. Okay, then the final one under new business, I would ask for authorization to expend up to $500 for the Memorial Day Fishing Derby. That's for prizes and refreshments and things like that.
And fish.
Actually, it doesn't include the fish. Yeah, it's more of a, hopefully they'll bring some of those fish back to have them weighed.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Finnemore. Second by Mr. Hutchins. Discussion, none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? $500 has been appropriated for the Memorial Day fishing tournament.
Is Joe Martin gonna run that tournament again this year?
I believe so. He had brought in that request this week, just before he left. Any other new business that I do not have listed at this point? If not, then I would ask for a motion to move into executive session to review the employment history and salary requirements for the highway superintendent. Mr. Finnemore, no discussion, all those in favor? Stand temporarily adjourned. You won't be long. Famous last word.
In the field.
It's not a circular course, so you
Also-
look at wind aid. So
it's
Boston is
certified,
trying to fight that because it should be a record. It was an incredible
2
race.
hours.
2 hours and 3 minutes and a few seconds.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
For a half marathon?
I beat my old record.
That's fast.
What was that for?
The Boston Marathon, the full marathon.
But more impressively, Boston is the American Ryan Hall who ran like 2:04, 2:05
Was
or
he that
something. He was fourth place. Incredible time for
Thing is,
American.
it is
Wow.
Okay.
from you.
Back in business, I would ask for a motion to
Move
come
it.
back in session, moved by Mr. Hutchins, second by Mr. Finnemore. We are in session. Thank you all for your patience. Under new business, I would ask for a motion to appoint Mr. Michael Drew as the Elizabethtown Highway Superintendent at an annual salary of $32,000 per year.
I'll move that.
Moved by Mr. Hutchins.
Second it.
Second by Mr. Finnemore. Any discussion? I'd ask for a roll call vote.
Mr. Vanamore?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchins?
Yes.
And Mr. Merryle?
Yes. And secondly, or prior to secondly, I would take this opportunity to give our heartfelt thanks to Mr. Dennis Aubin for all of his time and service to the town of Elizabethtown, and we wish him well in his retirement. Hope he has happy hunting from now on. And we hope Mr. Michael Drew is able to assimilate his responsibilities. Next, I would ask for a motion to appoint Mr. Keith Denton as Deputy Highway Superintendent.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Fenimore. I will second that motion. Discussion on the...
The only comment I would make about that appointment is that that is essentially Mike's appointment,
That's correct.
and the board moves that or not.
That's a very good point. Yes, Mr. Drew had come preemptively prior to the meeting in communication with myself and had met and decided upon Mr. Keith Denton as his deputy this morning. So he relayed that to me. Bringing it forward to the board, it is necessary for the board then to include that into the minutes as a resolution. But no, thank you for that. That is Mr. Michael Drew's personal appointment. We just verified that. The salary for a deputy highway superintendent is set in the town budget. That has not changed. Discussion on the appointment. Excuse me. Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion has carried.
Could we go back just for a moment on the highway
Yes.
superintendent job? Just for everybody's information there, we set a salary on that based on the fact that it is an appointment. It's for the interim until we have the next regular election, which will be this fall.
That's correct.
That is less money than what Dennis was getting, but our basis for doing that, and I don't mean to speak for everyone, but I was present when we talked about it. The basis for doing that it is that he's the new guy. We wanted to give him a little more than what he was making, but we just picked a spot that we thought would make him okay, and it still would give us the opportunity to change that if we wanted to, I suspect, at election time or after election, or however that works out.
Yes, no, I appreciate you bringing that up, because I think that is good public information. That in our discussions, we felt that Mr. Robin has been in our service for over 19 years. And with that experience, it just did not seem fair that we would then reallocate the same amount of money to someone who has not had that time in grade. Gives them, or Mr. Drew, that amount of time to determine how best he is going to administrate that job. But I think that the important part for everybody to understand is that that position, along with the position of town supervisor, we have 2 town councilmen that will be up for election this year. Even though we are appointing Mr. Michael Drew as highway superintendent, that office is up for election this year for the November election. So there will be, we call them petitions for party affiliation and independence, I believe in May and June, when that will be open.
Is that a 2-year term or a 4-year term, highway superintendent? Do you know?
I believe that's a 2-year term. I don't believe that's ever been changed, right?
2-year. And does this happen to be the end of that current?
I believe it
term?
does.
Yeah, I think he's up.
Yeah, but Key and I run the same.
Yes.
Okay. So if Mike Drew chooses to run for the position, then he'll have it for 2 more years.
Yes,
Should
if he
should
is,
he successfully?
yes, successfully, and he would have to go through the petitioning process and party designation for the November election. Also, a point of interest, we are at this point in time than less one person down at the highway department. Mr. Drew has agreed to continue throughout this year, this summer and this fall, with that situation of being one man short, hoping to help, with the budgetary considerations and just seeing how that can all be coordinated. We're hoping that also with some of the perceived shared services with the other personnel that we may have, that we'll be able to fill in those gaps with some of the other people that we have in other departments. Okay, that's all I have on that. Any other new business to come before the body that I don't have? Okay. Being none, we shall move to committee reports. Mr. McGinnis not here for highway. Mr. Hutchins was here this morning when Mr. Drew came by. We did review the ordering of the state contract pickup truck. They're doing their final review of specifications, and they're supposed to have the final request to this office sometime this week. So that truck under the state contract.
Yeah, I was just
will
gonna-
be, yes.
It has been decided that by this board that it will be done by state contract.
Yes, as well as possible. The water district, we have implemented some modifications and repairs. We had some downtimes from some electrical issues that we had throughout the winter. The signaling or sensoring device between the water reservoir, chlorination house. All the pumps now seem to be working well. The NatGun engineers will be doing a tank inspection sometime late this spring. Mr. Jack Dodson has been up, and again, Mr. Eldred Hutchins continues as our certified water administrator, working with the gentleman we have at the highway department. So that all seems to be working out quite smoothly.
There were a couple of invoices in the bills this month. One was a charter business internet for the water district. I don't recall seeing a invoice for that in the past. That's something new, or they have a new computer requirement for the water district?
Yes, yes. I believe, I have to look at that invoice, that we were sharing internet service with the highway department. I'm not positive of that, but that's our intent. Originally, we were setting up the water department that's housed in the same large building, separate room, that they would both have capabilities, but it's not necessary for them to be independent, so I believe.
It may have been a
that is
half of an invoice. It was like $49,
Okay.
which is less than your typical monthly
Right.
charter.
So I believe that's what it is.
So
We've
about a half.
given them internet hookup, which has been valuable when they go online, especially for parts, for the trucks and the tractors. Then they can get a exploded view of everything right online with the dealers.
And there was also an invoice for North Country Welding regarding a frozen water line out of the district.
Yes.
And some electrical issues, power, parking conditions that went along with that. Where, is that the one north of Route 9?
Yes.
We were talking about?
Yes, we had a water freeze up under the road on the Forge Road.
The camps down by the river, is that?
Actually, between the camps and the upper houses there, almost halfway up the hill. But anyways, the way it is treated of a out of district is those total costs that were incurred then to remediate the problem up there. Once we have all the final invoices, and then my clerk and I take all of the highway time, the men's job, and then that's reallocated out. Then we will communicate with all the homeowners in that out of district, and they will all be billed a portion of that.
Is it more than
Cost.
just two camps down by the river? How many houses are around that line?
About
The out of
11,
district line?
10 or 11,
Really?
I believe.
Everybody
Because it
before
starts
it?
right past Buddingfield's driveway. Everything north Yeah, everything north of Bud's driveway is considered out of the district.
But it includes the houses on Forge Road?
Yeah, that's out of the district. Yeah. You know, all those houses, both sides of the road, and then the Forge roads also.
And it was a sideline, a tangent line that ran down towards the road? Down
I believe so. I
where
believe
the
it
frozen
was-
water line was?
Yes, it was one of the lateral lines that went across the road by McDougal's old house. That did it. And, you know, I would say, Cameron, not that he's gonna watch this, a big thank you to Forrest Spalding, because he came, it was very, very busy, bad inclement weather, and he came in one day. And he's generally booked up for weeks at a time. Unfortunately, after 4 days, we had a refreezing of that same water line, so he had to come back, and it was a little less that time, but again, you know, he's treated us very, very well, and very reasonable bill. It is. That's it.
That's it for me.
Nothing to it. Okay, then you're on to Parks and Rec. Well, we just bought a bridge. And I touched on, you know, there will be, what they have envisioned, the development upstream on the footbridge, also the extension of the cribbing through the DEC people, and the APA to extend that up where that big bend in the river is that we're trying to modify that bank so that we're not losing that bank any further. And that appears to have been moving along. The DEC's online with it, and the APA's online with it.
Have you had a chance to talk to Bruce about the skating rink building? Has he been down there to turn the heat off or anything?
He's been down there, but I'd have to verify and ask him that specifically. I'm just assuming he did, but I know he had gone up and done some other things there when the prisoners were with us.
I meant to go down Monday, but then I forgot about it. Didn't.
But
If you think of it, ask him if he's been down there. It's. I think we can probably get turning the heat off in that building.
Yeah,
Maybe.
no, I think so. I probably down to electric right now, so I can't imagine it comes on much.
So the electric would be expensive. And
Yeah.
If the water lines, if we don't have to worry about the water lines freezing anymore, which is possible at this point, then maybe we can turn the heat off.
Yeah, we should be able to just pull the. Maybe he has. Maybe he has. Anything under Parks and Rec? Anything else? That's trails. That's something different. Just along those same lines as Jesse had, as part of a continuing funding for this Healthy Communities. We had received, she had received another $10,000, and that was going towards the purchasing of bike racks, benches, signage, things like that around Elizabethtown. And then also, she believed she was receiving funding for GPS mapping for the trail system. I was gonna wait for trails, but just while I was thinking of it, that was one of the things we believe that will happen. And, that would be a good thing, to be able to have that GPS, and that can generate the maps, you know, electronically. Okay, that's all I had for Parks and Recreation. Anything else? Youth Commission. Well, Youth Commission's not here. I think they're busy. I don't know what the next, now we're gonna
Could
be
be
gearing up for
softball,
summer
and they
program
don't
pretty
usually do
quick.
that till June, end of May, June.
Yeah. Okay, under zoning, I guess we'd already talked about that. Mr. Frank Slycord has given us notice. We will advertise for a replacement. Under communications up on top, just to bring a note, E-Town Planning Board, there was a communication, and Nancy Dawson, there was a communication, a letter of interest to serve on the board. Bringing that up under zoning, I intend to meet and review some of the requests with the Elizabethtown Planning Board at their next monthly meeting, and then we'll discuss that two things prior to it coming to the table this evening. So we will attend to that at the next monthly meeting. The golf course, we were over this morning and afternoon. Bruce and Dan have made quite a bit of progress there as far as sweeping up all the fairways. We only had the third and the fourth, and they were doing those this afternoon. The greens appear to be in pretty good shape, knock on wood. So I think we're projecting a May opening time. I'm losing my months. That's May 1st. We have a sign up right now because of the softness of the fairways and especially the greens. And I walked on the greens today. They are still quite spongy. So we just believe, we were looking at the possibility of allowing people to play maybe on Easter or Sunday weekend. But after being on the greens, I believe it would, and Bruce concurred with that, probably cause more damage than gratitude. So I think that we're online for opening May, and we will have the personnel there prior to that. I intend to ask the board members who are interested that we would have our golf course meeting here on Tuesday, the 26th, in the morning sometime, if that's depending on what your...
I work at the social center on Tuesday.
Good, that's why I scheduled it that.
20, what? Oh,
26th,
Oh,
it's just next Tuesday.
I could meet earlier than 10:30, 9 or 9:30.
Okay.
I have to be at 10:30.
Okay, you want to try for 9? Okay, and I believe, and I was going to get in touch with Mr. Martin also, and Mr. Hutchins, that it appears we will have, and I don't think that's a bad thing, more than a quorum, so we'll just treat it as a meeting. If that many members show up, then we can attend to it then, but I just think it's important, more people at the table, the better we can come to conclusions
Well,
when necessary.
If I may here, if you're going to expect that it's more than a quorum, you can't wait until that day, and if you get a quorum, we call it a meeting. If we expect more than a quorum, we should say now that it's a meeting and advertise it accordingly.
Right, I felt that I'd be able to put out in the signposts out front on Monday, if I do get confirmation that more than 3 will be here.
Probably do it as long as you get a hold of someone like...
Mr. Alvin Reiner,
I think the media needs to be...
just a public interest order, yeah, for Tuesday at 9 o'clock. The term is misused, work session, no such thing, budget.
It's a meeting.
Work session, it's a meeting, that's right. It's a public meeting to discuss specifics of the golf course management for this coming season. Well, at least zip through those, I mean, golf course. The chamber. Any hot reports for the chamber, Margaret?
Yeah, I've got a report. You want me to share it with the group?
Sure.
Oh, I'll just come up, so I'm not just with this. Normally I give this to Chadwick.
That's what I thought. Normally.
So far, we're having our membership drive for the Chamber, Elizabethtown Lewis Chamber of Commerce, and so far we've had 67 businesses and individuals join, with a few more businesses expressing interest, so we're hoping to top 70 this year. And the Chamber invites all Elizabethtown and Lewis businesses and any interested residents. You don't have to be a business to join the Chamber. We have an individual person, even if without a business, you can become a partner with us. In May, early May, we're going to press with our new brochure flyer with the new businesses. We've lost some businesses this year, so of course we have to update it. We have some new businesses that have opened, so hopefully before Memorial Day, we will have all new 2011 brochures, which we can pass out throughout the town, and you can throw all the old 2010s in the trash or recycle them. The Chamber is also offering a $300 business education scholarship to a graduating senior from Elizabethtown Lewis Central School. That will be given out at their awards or graduation day. And the next Chamber meeting will be Tuesday, May 3rd at 5 p.m. at the museum. And I did get a copy of this article from the Adirondack Daily Enterprise. I think you were interviewed about Bald Peak.
Oh.
And officially, USGS has said it is official, it is Bald Peak, it's not going to change. And something good came out of it. Turned out that Blueberry Cobbles and Rocky Peak were never officially named. They were nameless, according to the USGS. So because of this person in Vermont trying to rename Bald, the USGS has now officially named Rocky Peak, which is 4,383 feet, and Blueberry Cobbles, 2,057 feet, and it will be on their maps from now on, officially named. So hopefully that put the issue to bed, but hey, we've got 2 new official mountains in Elizabethtown. And I'll just give you that if you want it for the record.
Okay, yep, I'll make copies for the board. Thank you. Okay. Last, under committee reports, trails.
We had a meeting, the Blueberry Hill Trail Committee had a meeting a couple of weeks ago and discussed several things, several of which I came to you with. Bronson Way was noted it's in kind of a muddy condition and state, and I asked you to see if Bruce would put a barricade up there. Do you know if he did that? Or
I saw him the next day, but I haven't gone out and verified that did happen. I did mention that you had relayed, he seemed to be aware of it because he was up there, and I'd even ask about more signs being put up, for spring softness.
The question came up about Cobble Hill Road, town property. Does our town property extend up to Cobble Hill Road and touch upon it? Do you know?
No. On the back side of the maintenance house it goes over, but there is a division of parcels prior to Cobble Hill Road.
On the tax map, it does show it touching it.
Up on top.
Up on top by
Yeah,
the snowplow
I
turnaround.
mean, we're up there if you pass Lions Camp, because it's still considered Cobble Hill Road, even though I believe our town inventory ends right there. Then there's a bridge that continues on over into the Houston's property that we purchased. So that would be our town connectivity to that.
Is it a town road that continues across the bridge?
No,
So
it's not in our inventory, it's still considered Cobble
Is
Hill
it
Road.
public property, the road itself across the bridge? I mean, the point is, the question was access. Is there public access off from the usable part of Cobble Hill Road and the town property, which was what the Houston's
The
property?
Houston's property. We do cross. I think there's 2 sections in there where there's private property on both sides of the road. We have had incidences in the last 3 years where there's been gates put up, and there has been not quite to the point of legal action, but there has been action taken.
By private property owners?
Yeah.
A legal action against private property owners or private property?
Against private property owners who, what we believe, illegally gated that road. So as far as we know, it's
Not
probably
a
not a
clear
public
issue.
highway. You can, to Lions, where the turnaround, that's on our state inventory for roads. But not
So
beyond.
we can't assume at this point then that there would be access through there then?
No, I mean, we can grant it along, just to the road, from, say, from the water tower to that. I believe we could probably make that representation. Because there's provisions in the deed to our property of that road specifically.
So in the
For the
future,
town
you
use.
would be comfortable establishing a trail through there?
Yep.
Were it to become feasible, or were it to be, were there to be interest in it? As far as you're concerned, we would be able to assume public access
Yes, on that road.
for hiking or skiing or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
That the town would be able to
Claim.
exercise and claim that. Yes.
Parking, I also spoke to you about parking up on Lord Road at the Colonel Holtz trailhead.
Yeah.
And you had indicated you would try to contact the current chairperson or whatever from Mountain Lake
Mountain Lake
Services, and ask if
Services.
that's a possibility, so I'll just remind you of that if you could put that on your to-do list someday.
It is, and I think it'd be good if you would, because in that same, after our conversation, because I had to see Mr. McPhail about the Bronson Way, we talked about the parking lot also, and he still believes, but again, yes, I will call Mountain Lake Services. He still believes on our land, it's easy enough for him to create one.
I'd be
It's just me,
surprised.
it just seems off the beaten path. It's only about 30 yards up. You know, it's a little incline. He says there's enough material there. If you just push it down, you have it. One of the sensitivities of the Mountain Lake Services land is there is a private well. You know, and that's only about 60, 70 feet from where our trailhead is.
It's a little more than that, though.
Yes.
It's not, there'd be plenty of parking for half a dozen vehicles without disturbing that wellhead. The wellhead could be marked or identified and, you know, keep people away from it. But there's more room than you think. It's more than 60 or 70 feet. I didn't face it off, but
Right.
it's quite a distance from the.
No, I've mentioned that to
Trailhead
Bruce.
where you
He
could-
brings it up, and again, I'd have to look at the legalities of what do we get into. Even if you keep 100 feet away, if there was ever a disturbance or an implied contamination of the well, I think we would have some issues. But either way, maybe Bruce can bring us all up sometime and say, here's this one option.
I'd be
This is
surprised
what
if
it would
that work.
cost.
It's pretty steep. That's a steep pitch. I'd be
Oh, yeah.
surprised if a regular car, a highway car would be able to go up there, even if there were plateau established with a 4x4.
Oh, no, he says, no. He's got a dozer. He can make this very nice.
Well, you'd have to carve out the mountainside and then make it flat enough for.
But I agree with you. I think the parking lot down near the road would be the best. I agree with you there.
There was a fox hunt, sort of a ride planned, not actually hunting foxes, but a ride by horse persons scheduled for this coming weekend, but that's been canceled. Nancy Lindquist was doing that lately in Vermont due to the condition of the roads, the soft nature of the trails. They postponed that into May. So I mentioned that, I think, at the last meeting. Culverts, we need a culvert over on what's called Holbert Trail. I'll get a hold of Mike Drew and ask him if he'll order a culvert for us, and hopefully find the time to go up there and put it in and install it for us, as they had done the 2 or 3 culverts
Right.
the year before last, I think it was. It might have been last year, but last year or the year before. There's going to be, one good idea came up regarding marking one main loop of trails with real trail markers, such as the ones the CAT trail system uses. In fact, they are the same as the CAT trail system uses. Sherry Ansel has some of those, and she's going to provide enough of them for us so that at least one clearly identified trail for people who are novices in the woods or unsure of themselves in the woods would be able to follow and reduce the chances of getting lost up there. There was discussion of maybe a Elizabethtown Day promotional thing, you know, maybe some kind of information available at the golf course for advising people of our trail system, maybe some maps, something like that. But there's nothing concrete, there's just an idea that was there. One of the issues there is going to be a new trail cut up there, a place that I discovered last fall with a nice rocky overlook. It's just a beautiful look to the southwest with Giant Mountain in the middle and Hurricane to the right and Cobble to the left, and just a nice series of mountains there. And I thought that perhaps I could recruit the help of the social center teens in establishing this trail and creating it and naming it. So we get the kids to become involved, have some sense of ownership up there, and get their help, and then come back to the social center for pizza and sodas afterwards, and try to collectively name the thing. It would just be an interesting exercise for
great.
them, you know, so we're gonna do that as well. On May 27th,
Okay. And we do have, as you know, over the brush cutters and things like that, that we could sign out, you know, for that.
I do have some
golf
costs, but
course.
depending on the number of teams we come
Mhm.
up with, yeah, I might be looking for more. But it just seemed like something that would be entertaining.
Along those same lines, you are or will be contacted by Kathy Daggett or one of the other representatives from Public Health, because I don't know if they've contacted you this week about signage and.
Meg Parker.
Meg,
had
yeah,
sent
she would
an
be
email
one
to
of
the
them.
social center that they were interested in. It was a little vague, I didn't know exactly what they'd be
Yeah.
interested in, but are interested in our trail system and helping to facilitate.
Yeah, they received some grant money, again, it's part of this healthy community stuff that they can reallocate towards for signage and things like that, even though I told them we've sort of got a system in place, but they may be able to contribute to that, but.
Well, we'll see what the ideas
Oh,
are
yeah.
and go from there. But, certainly welcome any ideas and theories. and-
Money's good.
And the GPS, you had mentioned earlier, some
That's
GPS
through them
technology
also.
that may be available to help up
Yeah.
there.
I think that's real important. It'd be real nice to have, you know, more accurate maps with definitive mileage and yardage would be good.
That's it, I think.
Okay. Good job. We'll find out about the parking. Okay, anything else to come before us that I have omitted thus far? Being none, we can move to comments from the membership. No comments from the clerk. Just that you're happy that the licensing is done. What was I just gonna say? So we were talking, our town clerk, again, we're gonna make comments, is mandated to go to, oh, that's for different decals,
Yes.
for licensing. But that's, you know,
Hunting,
fishing
fishing
licensing
licenses.
and things like that. And Mr. Provancha does send someone else also, what they have to do. But what we were sort of talking about was the negative cash flow for that. You're mandated by the state for us to sell decals, and you almost have to sell decals. It's not a negotiable thing. We make a couple $100 a year, but then they mandate us to attend special certification schools for more than we can make. So, it's a negative cash flow. It's fun to try to follow the dots in this business to say, okay, so we're gonna make $58 on this, but you gotta go to school and that'll cost you $438. That's a good deal.
Yeah, well, we're losing money because,
Can we do two?
losing money from the lifetime licenses, because a lot of people have got those and don't get licenses
Yeah.
anymore.
Comments from the board members? Anybody but Mr. Hutchins?
I have nothing.
Just one comment regarding an earlier comment that was made from the audience. While it is true that I am your brother-in-law, my name is Ken Fenimore, and I do put letters to the editor periodically in the newspapers. Those thoughts and those comments are solely mine. I have never shared with my brother-in-law any of these letters or comments that I made prior to my having typed them and submitted them. They're my thoughts alone. And I just want that to be stated for the public record.
No, thank you. I think that is important. Sometimes I am surprised. Because like I said, I've never seen one prior to it being in print. But I didn't
Not
realize
some
you said that.
collusion. There is no collusion between you and I regarding my letters to the editor. Never have been, nor
No.
will there be.
No, I appreciate you clearing that up. And I really have nothing to comment on tonight. So we can move to the financials. I'm gonna ask for a motion to accept the monthly transfers.
Move it.
Moved by Mr. Hutchins, Second by Mr. Fenimore. Roll call.
Mr. Fenimore,
Yes.
Mr. Hutchins,
Yes.
and Mr. Merry.
Yes. Secondly, then a motion to approve the supervisor's report. Motion by Mr. Fenimore, second by Mr. Hutchins, roll call vote.
Mr. Fenimore,
Yes.
Mr. Hutchins.
Yes.
Mr. Merry.
Yes, and finally, a motion to approve all bills.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Hutchins, second by Mr. Fenimore.
Yes.
And a roll
With
call.
one question regarding a $49.90 error by the town clerk. What was that? What did you do?
I tried to give you more money than you needed. I picked, well, in the new program I have, I got the wrong amount.
Yeah.
I picked the wrong
And
one.
Sue gave it back before I had a chance to get my hands on it. Roll call vote, please.
Some
Mr.
people
Fenimore?
might have asked her that, and, you know, no.
What have you done?
Yes.
Okay, and Mr. Merry.
Yes, I shall vote for that approval.
I move
Finally,
adjourned.
move to adjourn, Mr. Hutchins, all those in favor, we stand adjourned. Thank you all very much. Now, Mr. Reiner, what was I gonna have you print?
Excuse me?
What was I gonna have you print? I don't know. Oh, my special meeting.
Meeting notice.
Oh, yeah.